Spirit Airlines is now out of business. Thousands of travelers spent the weekend stranded when the airlines pulled the plug at 3 in the morning on Saturday.
For years, Spirit Airlines was the airline people mocked, but kept booking. It wasn't admired for comfort, it wasn't trusted for reliability, and it certainly wasn't loved. But it was cheap, and in aviation, that alone was enough to build an empire. Spirit built its entire business around the ultra-low-cost carrier model. The idea was simple: strip flying down to its absolute minimum. A seat on a plane, a departure time, a destination. Everything else was unbundled and sold separately. Bags, seats, flexibility, even basic conveniences. The result was headline-grabbing fare that made air travel feel accessible in a way few airlines could match. But beneath the surface, the model depended on something very fragile: constant volume, perfect efficiency, and uninterrupted operations. Unlike traditional airlines, Spirit operated with very little margin for error. There were no premium cabins subsidizing economy fares, no high-end customers absorbing volatility, no flexible pricing layers to soften shocks. The entire system relied on one thing: scale. As long as planes were full and operations ran smoothly, the model worked. But the moment disruptions appeared, the structure became difficult to sustain. Over time, major airlines adapted. Delta Airlines, American Airlines, and United Airlines introduced stripped-down fare classes designed to compete directly with low-cost carriers. These basic economy tickets narrowed the gap between Spirit's price advantage and the broader industry experience. For many passengers, the decision became less about saving money and more about avoiding inconvenience. That shift slowly eroded one of Spirit's core advantages. As competition increased, operational strain became more visible. Delays, cancellations, and staffing shortages had a larger impact on Spirit than on larger carriers. Because the model was built for efficiency over flexibility, even small disruptions created cascading effects. And in aviation, customer perception changes quickly when reliability is questioned. Spirit didn't have strong loyalty to fall back on. It had price, and price alone is fragile when trust begins to slip. Then came COVID-19. Global aviation came to a sudden stop. Demand collapsed almost overnight, and aircraft were grounded worldwide. For Spirit, the impact was especially severe. Its model depended on high utilization and constant passenger turnover. Without that, revenue streams dried up quickly. Recovery wasn't just about demand returning, it was about whether the underlying model could survive in a more volatile environment. As travel demand returned, conditions had changed. Fuel costs increased, labor costs rose, operational disruptions became more frequent. At the same time, competition across all airline segments intensified. Spirit attempted to adapt, including exploring consolidation options to gain stability, but those efforts did not materialize. Without structural change, the same weaknesses remained in place. The final straw. The final strain came from outside the aviation industry entirely. A global energy crisis, intensified by escalating geopolitical conflict involving Iran, disrupted oil supply chains and pushed fuel prices sharply higher.
It all comes, though, as gas prices at the pump in the U.S. continue to climb. The national average for a gallon of regular, now $4.54.
For most airlines, rising fuel costs are manageable through diversified revenue streams and pricing flexibility. For Spirit, the impact was different. Fuel is its largest cost driver, and the business model leaves very little room to absorb sustained increases. Raising fares risks breaking its core identity. Keeping fares low turns flights into loss-making operations. It created a structural squeeze the model was never designed to handle. Spirit Airlines didn't collapse because low-cost flying stopped working. It collapsed because extreme cost efficiency only functions under specific conditions: stable fuel prices, predictable demand, and limited external shocks. Once those conditions shifted simultaneously, the system lost its balance. The story of Spirit Airlines is not just about one company. It is about the boundaries of a business model pushed to its extreme. Ultra-low-cost aviation can thrive when the environment is stable. But when costs rise, competition adapts, and external shocks intensify, the lack of financial flexibility becomes a liability. Spirit's collapse reflects what happens when a system built entirely on price meets a world that no longer stays still.